Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I am your host, Xen Sams. Welcome back to my Digital World segment brought to you by Tempest, a Burkan World project. Today, we're chatting all things women in tech, women in the digital process, and women on the blockchain with our regular contributor, CEO of Tempest Network, Shahal Khan. And he's going to come on to discuss Tempest's vision and outline as he gets ready to position women at the front lines of Tempest Network. Now, as Shahal gets settled, let's chat gender equality in the tech industry. It is, in fact, still quite way off, but with strong role models emerging, women are taking their seat at the table, and this is becoming more and more common. The question is, will DeFi help women take back control of their finances and close the wealth gap? The blockchain is open access and inclusive to anyone around the world. This gives women a unique opportunity to ditch the regular conventions and take control of their own lives. DeFi is new, but it also represents a huge change in how money moves. The potential use cases for DeFi are global. Essentially, it can make connections that no other form of financial technology is capable of. This presents an even greater opportunity for women to get involved in an industry where men have led for over a decade. Some women are already taking control and advantage and bringing education, technical know how, and accessibility of DeFi to other women entrepreneurs. It's fabulous. The women at Tempest, myself being one of them, are trying to change the way the blockchain and decentralization are utilized in underprivileged communities around the world, changing perspectives and breaking fresh ground. In other words, the blockchain provides a mechanism for not only women, but those 1.4 billion people that are unbanked and allows them to participate in an industry that will in turn allow them to take control of their financial independence. Access is open to all. And here to chat more on this is Shahal Khan. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Hi, Zen. Thank you so much. And thank you for bringing the subject up. It's so important.
Absolutely. Now, Shahal, today marks the first weekend in March, where, of course, we're celebrating Women's History Month. And as we remind ourselves of the accomplishments of the women throughout the years to our culture and society, everything from science and politics to health and technology, this is a chance for you to, of course, outline for us how Tempest will be leading the way for change for us ladies. Please help us figure this out.
Well, Zen, it's so important to allow women to participate fairly, equally, and as well as get the value of their work. The new DeFi movement, and I'll give you an example of it. In India, we're supporting a agricultural bank that is micro lending to close to 300 million farmers in India. And those farmers in India are the wives of the male farmer. What we found is that the women are a lot more responsible with the money, they account for the money better, and they're able to go and repay a lot better than the men. So we've created a system there where they're able to, where we're able to track what they're going to plant, track how the progress is, how they're doing, and then give them credit to be able to allow them to go out and farm and then sell the product and then do it all over again. So we're bringing almost 300 million families into an ecosystem where the women are able to participate and be the sort of breadwinners or the managers of the family. And I think that's just one example of how this world is changing and allowing, gender equality in places where it was very difficult to have that before. And then, obviously in the West, it's going to be profound in terms of allowing women to enter a level of new fields out there that the Web3 is creating, allowing them to monetize their data and allowing them to participate in the economy in ways that they've never done so before in terms of community-based lending to each other, co-investment in terms of projects without relying on male-dominated circles. And also it's going to, allow this barrier of entry to be lowered because in reality, they could come onto the networks and participate without huge barriers to entry.
I love it that we have a male advocating for us gals in the capacity that you are doing, because it's very, very rare. And especially in today's world, in today's economy, in today's political, climate, that we have a male like yourself who's an entrepreneur and a visionary giving so much credence to the female counterpart. So thank you for that. And at Tempest Network, I know for a fact that you are creating an economy that commodifies people's time and enables them to augment their incomes by earning compensation for their engagement with platforms they love through very specifically gamification, because that is something that you pride yourself upon, and what Tempest kind of has built its core on gamification, right? You envision a world where all people, regardless of their education levels, positioning in society, like you've often said, or even where they live geographically, they can be valued for their time and energy, and the ability to earn in the metaverse, and that's where we're coming into Web3, will be defined by the value of your time, our time, and equity that we're going to create with it. Now, give me an example of this within Tempest and how you plan to change the model with what we currently see and the companies that are emerging and are really essentially coming out there and promising the world to society, and yet have absolutely no clue what is going on.
Yep. So look, we've been taking a long time to develop Tempest. And we're sort of leading in terms of talking about it before it's actually been launched, in order to educate a lot of people about how it's going to work. So what we see is, when you look at the, let's say, global market in general in terms of demographics, and let's just you split up the population 50-50, let's say male and women around the world, men and women around the world, what you're going to see is the new methods of entry into gamification. It could be gamified education, it could be gamified esports. One of our partners is one of the largest now esports companies in the world. They allowed, some of the most successful players to come on board, which were women, and then women from places like Saudi Arabia, where they weren't allowed to really participate in any kind of sport before. And what we're seeing is this ability to gamify any activity. If you add to that the ability for them to earn, and then communities that support them to help them as well in terms of funding, it creates a loop where the actual person that is learning, or that is participating in a sport or doing a charity, is now being compensated based on the time that they spend on the activity, as well as the data that they create out of that activity. And that goes behind the actual compensation, which is this Tempest coin. But also, it allows the people engaging with that person and then helping and talking, about what that activity is, if it happens to be in sports, for example, to be able to also be compensated. So it creates this loop where it's an open market, and your data and your sovereign data, regardless if you're a man or a woman, is now being able to support you. And that is a premise that I felt was very strong in terms of theoretically allowing women, for whatever reasons that they haven't been able to participate in society, to be able to now get into economics, to be able to support each other, and to be able to start projects that before they weren't able to participate in, due to this sort of male dominated circles, especially around technology companies.
Yeah, if absolutely, especially around technology companies. And when it comes to women, I've often said this before, but the problem is it lies in investment opportunities, not in interest or aptitude. And I always circle back to a report back from 2016 that showed that women left corporate tech jobs at twice the rate of men, because the male dominated culture tends to really drive women out. But truly, I see the future of blockchain as inclusive, right? And if we look at further surveys in 2020, a survey by Coin Market Cap revealed approximately, I think it was about a 45% increase in women in business, and the earning potentials of investing in women-led firms at this point is attracting the attention of blockchain companies. There was a specific one that I always point out in the last couple of weeks, I've always said Women Who Code, a great company that I support and love, they just received not much, but $150,000 grant from Algorand to fund their blockchain deep learning curriculum for women engineers. So, coming back to Tempest, what were some of the defining moments in your entrepreneurship and where you realized the value of women in your companies and how, this will shape your management team at Tempest?
Well, it has to do with the sort of energy in a place. And maybe I'm sounding a bit too esoteric, but I've seen it with the various companies I've invested in. And I've seen it in terms of when men and women are coming together. Women, and I'm generalizing here, so to a degree, so forgive me for that. They tend to look because of the right brain, left brain scenario in many other factors that a lot of men in groups don't tend to analyze. There's a different feeling, a softer feeling, a more long-term approach, a more of a cooperative, less competitive approach. In the workplace, the sort of environments where women are empowered and they're also balanced with men. They're not actually becoming men and, let's say, competing with men in this sort of competitive environment, but there's a balance to that nature where there's that sort of feminine softness, as well as, it combines with the male energy as well. And there's a balance. Those are the most successful teams that I've been a part of, because there's always a perspective that, purely men-based teams don't see. And I think we have to look at each other, men and women, with respect as humans, and not as male or female, but with attributes that both sexes have. Then, when combined through respect and I would say honor, of those abilities, you end up creating something that is very special and a different sort of energy around a project or a team or a company.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And, at the end of the day, the work that you are doing at Tempest Network is very defining, and it's very, very precise at a time that the world is changing and evolving into this digital process, and where women will be, without a doubt, on the rise in terms of positions in management over the next decade, without a doubt. So I commend you. And I'm also thanking you for coming and inspiring us on another incredible segment of My Digital World to kick off Women's History Month. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Zen. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was Shahal Khan, CEO of Tempest Network. And guys, listen, however, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. According to the World Economic Forum, it's going to take over 200 years to close the global economic gender gap at the rate that we're going. So it's extremely vital to ensure that women continue to have equal access to blockchain technologies and education. And companies like Tempest Network are paving the way. Thank you so much for listening to A Moment of Zen. It's been an absolute pleasure. That was Shahal Khan from My Digital World. We'll be right back after this. Definitely check them out on the web, tempest.network, and check them out on the gram at Tempest Network. We'll be right back after this. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.